truly the connective tissue between all of these things is just an all-out assault on the working class.
In this video, Sam Seder and Emma Vigeland of The Majority Report with Sam Seder have guest Krystal Ball of Crystal Kyle and Friends on to talk about Trump's broader agenda. I've done 2 videos on this. Sam Seder is a funny guy, but I think when Krystal Ball is on, it keeps him more focused on the politics, and Emma Vigeland's always head down on the politics. I think this is a fascinating conversation. Let's check it out together. I'll have some opinions, and then I want to know what you think in the comments.
A county judge in Wisconsin was arrested by the FBI for allegedly protecting an immigrant in her courthouse. Now, it has been very controversial, or at least it certainly was 8 years ago, the idea of not arresting immigrants, undocumented immigrants, or anybody else for that matter, in like courthouses. There's been a couple of places because you want people to be able to go to courthouses. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There is a societal interest. I mean, this is why we have, why we give undocumented in some states licenses. This is why we don't allow local police in many places to engage in immigration sweeps, because if you have a portion of your population that is not participating in things like reporting a fire or reporting a crime or going and adjudicating something, your society is starting to break down a little bit. But arresting a judge seems maybe like an important moment.
Yeah, it's a significant escalation. I don't think there's any doubt about it. And I don't know if you guys probably saw this footage that came out of a courtroom in Charlottesville, Virginia, where an immigrant had just actually had his charges dropped. And then agents of the state who would not identify themselves, would not show a warrant, one of whom was fully masked, apprehended him and pulled him out, even as his lawyers and other bystanders are trying to protect him, trying to say, who are you with? What's your name? What's your badge number? And so those sorts of things have been playing out around the country. And we don't know all the details here yet. But I mean, one thing that was interesting to note is that the FBI director, Kash Patel, he's the one who originally posted this tweet saying that they had arrested this judge. He then deleted the tweet. So not sure what is going on there. But, zooming out, I've been saying, and this won't be any surprise to you guys, as Trump becomes less popular, we're going to enter an even more dangerous phase of this presidency, because rather than, being able to try to garner any sort of public political support, he's going to have to engage in increasingly ever more authoritarian and fascistic tactics. And I think this could be seen as part of that ramping up. And it's not an accident that it comes as his poll numbers across the board, including on things like immigration, really fall.
Yeah, and also I think it's a way to send a message to immigration judges too, or not immigration judges, but judges across the country, I should say. And it doesn't have to just be limited to immigration, but this is how the mafia operates, right? Where they're intimidating this woman, this judge in Wisconsin, and they're trying to make an example out of her so that other judges across the country are maybe a little bit more favorable to the administration, because that's basically where the only thing that has the brakes on this administration so far has been the court system and the judiciary.
Yeah. And, there was one piece of good news. I don't know if you guys saw this, but the Trump administration has just been mass canceling the immigration status of foreign students. And they were facing an overwhelming onslaught, some 50 plus lawsuits across the country that they were just losing one after another after another. And they actually backed down on that and are reinstating the status of these foreign students. So you're absolutely right that even though they've been willing to, outright defy the courts, to, misinterpret what the Supreme Court is saying, what district court judges are saying, et cetera, it still is the only place where you've had a sort of meaningful, organized resistance. And it was interesting to me. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to read the Time Magazine interview with Trump, which was all over the map. But they asked him about the Supreme Court unanimous decision with regard to, hey, you got to facilitate the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. And Trump, first of all, claimed that his people, didn't tell him that ruling went against him. But he wanted to make it clear that he did not want to defy the Supreme Court. Now, in reality, they are defying the Supreme Court. But it's at least interesting to me that he doesn't want to be seen as brazenly, directly defying the Supreme Court, and at least wants to put some rhetorical flourish on the direction they're going in.
I mean, I believe him that they didn't tell. We saw there was footage that came out with Stephen Miller. It was like, we won hands down, and I'm not convinced that wasn't the first time that he heard that. But
100%. Like when the Abrego Garcia thing was first showing up, when Bukele was at the White House, and they're like, oh, will you bring him back? He's like, no, how could I do that? That was the clip that ran and ran and ran. But when you watch that whole thing, it is clear that neither Bukele nor Trump have any idea who this Abrego guy they're talking about. Which one is he? Was he the MS-13? And it's the Stephen Millers, and it's the Pam Bondi, and it's Marco Rubio, who are the ones like, oh, he's a nightmare, he murders kids, he's a rapist. They're the ones that paint this picture of this nightmare. And then it's the presidents that are like, well, how would I bring that guy back? Like, you're not going to take that guy, and I'm not going to let that guy go. And I think this is 100% true. You watch these interviews with Trump, he has no idea what's going on.
I think what is really clear that, and I think the poll numbers are part of this. We should say that I think it's the first time that he is net negative now on immigration, only by a point or two. He's net negative
every other
by
issue.
Dozens of points on just about every other issue. I mean, well into the teens in a lot of this, and sometimes even further a net negative. But I think what we're going to start to see is the pace and the ambition of different parts of what was the overall agenda move at a different pace and start. And there's going to be, it's unclear to me, it's quite obvious that Stephen Miller, and I think you can see that in the context of the Hegseth signal chat, or maybe the first one with the First Atlantic, where it's right. Miller comes in and he's the guy who has the last word.
He's the voice of the president.
On attacking Yemen.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's sort of outside of his portfolio. I mean, granted, they're not, white people that we're attacking. So maybe that's why he has a say in that.
Yeah. His portfolio is just evil doing.
Evil doing against
evil-doing. That's
white
Stephen
people.
Miller.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
But I can't help but think we're going to start to see different agendas and how they're represented by different people within the Trump administration. Because Trump is quite clearly just he's so far removed from all of this, it seems to me, at this point.
I think the only area that I would say he's not far removed from is the tariffs. That seems to be the part that
totally his.
Yeah, that's what he's into. He's making these insane decisions. He's inventing calls that he didn't even have with the Chinese leadership. I think that's all him. But I think you're right.
200 deals on the table.
That's right, 200 deals.
Right,
what could you tell us about any of them? No. No.
I can't reveal. I can't reveal that. I should also announce that I personally have made 300 tariff deals.
Wow. Congratulations, Sam. Well, I just got off the phone with President Xi. He's doing great. And we also made the roughly 3,000 deals together. So
it's a mistake to say who the deals are.
You revealed too much.
You're learning, but I do think that we're going to start to see that, because the Doge stuff has now it seems to me fallen away, and they've fallen back to their sort of Alamo position, which is the Russell vote mechanism of destroying the administrative state. Mm-hmm. It's all, we had someone on the other day who was a former Doge, and just because she was with the U.S. Digital Services, and she said this next wave is all RIF stuff, reduction in force, which actually is a mechanism rather than the Doge, which was just go in and fire people.
Yeah. And hack into systems and
exactly
that sort of thing. Yeah.
And which is not to say that it's any better. In some ways, it's even worse, because it's they've mapped this out of how they're going to do it from a legal standpoint. But it feels like the tariff stuff, like you say, is Trump's baby, but it's fallen apart for him now. Like it's as if Peter Navarro didn't know what he was talking about.
Can you imagine that?
He's getting warnings now. Like I have there's a half a dozen stories that are out there today of like, he was surprised that all these shipping containers from China, basically, they're not sending stuff. Like they decided it's just not worth it.
Right.
Whereas
well, did you
he
see
was under the impression he was just going to make a lot of money as they come in.
Yeah.
Did you see the Jeff Stein report that now they're meeting about these rare earth metals?
Yes.
They're like, oh shit, like China cut those off. That was the most obvious, tactic China would take. It's like, you didn't think about this? This didn't occur to you before now? I mean, not that surprises me, because all of this attempt to sanewash him, or, oh, actually, you don't understand the grand plan and the 4D chess and the treasury bonds and the de-dollarization. We're going to use a stable coin to, be able to prop up the dollar, whatever. That was not what was going on. Trump likes tariffs because he likes power. He likes to be put in the position of having these people come to him and have to ask for what they want, and him being able to bully him. He likes that. And so that's what he likes about tariffs. Now, I think other people in the administration had different ideas of what this was going to be about, whether it's, oh, we're going to bring the manufacturing jobs back, whether it's, oh, we're going to try to get the treasury yields down, which that completely and utterly failed. There were some Chamber of Commerce types that were like, we're going to use the threat of tariffs to actually get to 0% tariffs, which, is like, okay, well, then you could have just stayed in TPP, I guess, if that was ultimately your goal. But for Trump, I think it really comes down to vibes and control and power. And I also think that truly the connective tissue, and this gets to, some of the comments in the Democratic Party about oligarchy, et cetera, truly the connective tissue between all of these things is just an all-out assault on the working class.
Boom. I think that's a good summary of it. I really, really, really encourage you to go to the Majority Report with Sam Seder and check out this whole video. I'm doing a second one. They get more into tariffs and the implication of tariffs and how that's playing out in this second video. The whole video is only half an hour, and it's well worth a watch. You can find that on Sam Seder and Emma Vigeland's channel, the Majority Report. But especially when they have Krystal Ball on, who's another favorite of mine. I think the three of them really there are some jokes and it's entertaining, but the three of them really get to the bone of the matter. And so I'm going to do another video. If you like the shorter form, it's another, say, 10 minutes. And that one focuses more expressly on tariffs, which is what they're starting to get into now. But thanks for listening. Let me know what you think in the comments.